Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
You believe a couple weeks we got training camp opening up for the Pack. I'll be honest, I really haven't been thinking about football season that much. Been a lot going on with the Brewers, obviously, and Bucks and such. But then you look at the calendar, it's like, oh, July 23rd. July 23rd is when camp opens. I mean, holy moly. It's going to be here. And when we talk about, like, weekdays, well, it's about 13. So we're going to do a top 13 storyline, Packers storyline heading into training camp, heading into preseason. It could be position battles. It could be certain players, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So no particular ranking where, like, as of right now, you know, maybe when we get closer, we'll have, like, okay, this is the number one storyline and such. These are just 13. I'm going to do one each day. 13 storylines heading into training camp and preseason and such. And I think, you know, we gotta start with the trenches, and we're gonna start with the offensive side here when it comes to the trenches. I think this is a storyline to follow when it comes to Packers training camp. Is how is this offensive line going to shape up for the Pack? And you got a couple, I mean, you look at it, you got a couple different storylines to follow. Elton Jenkins moving from left guard, where he has been an all-pro. He's moving to center. Does he get that new contract? You know, I don't know if I want to call it a holdout. Didn't show up to minicamp. Was there at the mandatory ones. Didn't practice it, which isn't a big surprise. But not only the contract situation, how does he transition from a full-time guard to now a full-time center? Did log snaps in at center, so he's not going in, you know, in a complete unknown area. But you're moving one of your best offensive linemen to a new position. How is that transition going to look? How is that going to work? Aaron Banks, new left guard for the Packers, a guy that, for a lot of people, thought got a bigger contract than what they would have given him or what they expected. Coming over from the 49ers, now the starting left guard for the green and gold. How does he fit? Is he going to play up to that contract? He's kind of an unknown. We haven't seen him. Maybe we've seen him going up against the 49ers all these times over these years, but now suited up with the green and gold. You come in as a high-priced free agent signing, there's going to be a little bit of a spotlight on you, and there's going to be a little bit more pressure on you, especially when the move kind of like pushes Elton Jenkins over center. And I know they lost Myers there, and there was an opening there, and it was just kind of a natural fit there. But a high-priced free agent that for some people thought maybe got a little too big of a contract, there's going to be some pressure on that to live up to that contract. So while we haven't talked a ton about Aaron Banks outside of when he first signed with the Packers, I think there is going to be a spotlight on him. Can he live up to that contract? Can he be a very, very, very good left guard? Can he fill in at the same level that Elton Jenkins did for so many years for the Packers at that left guard position? There is definitely some pressure on Aaron Banks. No question about it. And then you look at Jordan Morgan. Where's Jordan Morgan fit on this offensive line? Is he going to be the left tackle? Is he going to be the right guard? Where is he going to be a starter? First round pick from last year, got banged up, didn't get to see him a whole lot. Where is he going to get an opportunity first, and where is his best position? Is it at that left tackle? Rasheed Walker is entering a contract year. There's been some rumblings and some rumors out there that maybe the Packers are trying to re-sign him. I got to imagine if that's the case, then maybe Jordan Morgan is a right guard, and that's where they view him. Sean Ryan, though, got a chance last year, got an opportunity. I thought played well. Probably earned himself a decent contract because he's going to be a free agent as well. And then Zach Tom. I mean, you talk about another impending free agent. Zach Tom, I think for many fans out there, for many people, they believe Zach Tom is the best offensive lineman on this team right now. He is going to get a huge contract. Granted, it's right tackle, but he's going to get a big contract. He is going to cost a lot of money. I don't know what the Packers' plan is. Are they trying to lock him up before the season? But if Zach Tom goes out there this year and he balls out even more, that price tag is going to go up. It's going to go up. So and these are just the starters. There's storylines surrounding all 5, 6, if you will, the top 6, let's call it top 6 offensive linemen. Rasheed Walker, is he going to be the starting left tackle? And if he is he going to play at a high level where he's going to earn himself a big payday? Left tackles can make big change. How is Elton Jenkins going to transition from full-time guard to center? And are they going to figure out his contract so he's going to be a little bit more happier? Aaron Banks with a big contract coming in. Can he live up to that big contract? Sean Ryan, can he play like he did last year or take his game up a step? Can he potentially beat out Jordan Morgan? And speaking of Jordan Morgan, where's he going to play? Is it left tackle? Is it right guard? Is it a bench? And then, of course, Zach Tom. Are we going to get a deal done for him before the season? Or is he going to go in and go into the season on his last year and potentially make more money? And then you look at the depth from this offensive line group. Anthony Belton, their second-round pick. Anthony Belton is a big dude, 6'6", 330 plus. He is going to be a starter eventually. I don't think you draft him 54th overall in the second round just as a bench player or as a depth piece. Eventually, he is going to be a starter. Could that be at left tackle? That's why I'm a little surprised. I would be a little surprised if the Packers do re-sign Rasheed Walker, because I feel like they got a couple of options to fill in for Walker if he left via free agency. One of them being Belton, the other one potentially being Morgan. So I feel like that would be a surprise to me if they signed Rasheed Walker to a long-term deal. I know there's been some rumors or rumblings out there that could be the case, that they're working on it and such. That would surprise me a little bit. But I don't know how much we're going to see of Belton this year, the rookie, the massive rookie. But he probably will get, fill-in spots. It'll be curious for me, too, to see, do they keep him just at left tackle in training camp? Do they try him out at right tackle? Does he become the swing tackle for this team? Does he get work at multiple positions? That's what I want to see from Belton in training camp. I personally would like to see him working at both tackle spots. Hey, maybe a little bit at guard too, because he is a big dude. But is he going to get that work in at different spots in training camp and in preseason games, or are they going to kind of focus just on one spot for him in his rookie year? I feel like the more you can do, the quicker you're going to be on that field to play. Because right now, you look at the depth of the offensive line for the Packers, you're probably thinking, again, outside of if we call Jordan Morgan the sixth offensive lineman because we don't know if he's going to be a starter yet, Belton's probably the seventh. You're probably going to keep around, let's say, 9 offensive linemen. So you got 2 more spots. Is that Donovan Jennings? Is that Kadeem Telford? Is that Jacob Monk, who was a 5th-round pick last year? Brant Banks. Guys you probably either have not heard about or you don't have a good impression of. Travis Glover. Saw what he did last year in the postseason. Not that great. So you you're probably looking at 2 to 3. I would say they've got 7 locks right now on their offensive line. Rashid, Banks, Jenkins, Ryan, Tom, Belton, and Morgan. I'd say there's 7 locks on that offensive line. You're probably looking at 2 to 3 more spots on the active roster. Of those remaining players, who are they going to go to? Maybe it's maybe it's somebody too that's not on this roster yet. Remember last year they brought in a veteran, Andre Dillard. Could that be an option? Possibly. But you're looking at it, I think the competition, there's competition all across the board in the trenches on the offensive line for Green Bay in training camp. And it's, to me, is going to be one of the more interesting position groups to watch in training camp and preseason because you've got different competitions at various levels. You've got a potential competition at left tackle between Walker, I'll throw Belton in there just because why not, and Jordan Morgan. You've got competition at right guard. Throw in Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan. So you got those battles, but then you're going to have battles for maybe 2 to 3 more depth pieces. Can Jacob Monk take a step this year? Kadeem Telford. Somebody like a Brant Banks. Trey Hill. Travis Glover. John Williams. I know, names that probably you're not too familiar with or probably haven't heard about. But you're looking at competition for that depth because you're one injury away from an offensive lineman, from one injury away from some of these guys getting plugged into that offensive line. And I think if there was one thing that maybe proved into the postseason game against the Eagles is like, okay, we need some depth in case we have an injury go down. Need better depth. So where's that going to come from? Who is it going to come from? And then, of course, the Elton switching over to center, and then newcomer Banks coming over. Zach Tom, to me, is probably like the most for sure guy. Like, all right, just go have number 50 line up at right tackle. We're good. It's probably like the one position you don't have to watch in training camp this year. Honestly, you probably think about it. That's probably the one position you don't really have to watch. You're watching left tackle to see if it's going to be Walker or Belton or Morgan. You're watching left guard to see what Aaron Banks can do. You're watching center to see Elton Jenkins move from guard to center. And you're watching right guard to see if it's going to be Sean Ryan or Jordan Morgan. Right tackle, you're good. You don't need to pay attention. Get him some work in training camp. Don't suit him up in the preseason. Zach Tom's good. That's the one position, that's the one player in this group that you probably don't need to watch. But you've got storylines and you've got battles and whatever you want to call it for the rest of these players on this offensive line. And that's why, to me, it's one of the more intriguing groups for this team as we enter training camp in just a couple weeks. How is this offensive line going to shake out? Will the 5 best play, as Matt LaFleur likes to say? The 5 best will play. I get that. I understand that. But I also want not only just the 5 best to play, but I want the 5 best at a position that they can play well. So, let's say, for example, let's say Jordan Morgan is a much better, he's a really good, he's a top 5 offensive lineman, but say he stinks at right guard, but he's really good at left tackle. Well, then don't just get him in there, even though he's maybe one of the 5 best, but you don't really have a spot for him. I want the 5 best spots 5 best guys at their positions in there. It's not like a power ranking system where it's like, okay, the 5, 1 through 5, we'll find holes. I don't want to fit square pegs in round holes in this thing. Just give me the best offensive line out there for day one. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting battle come camp.